Welcome back to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton, and welcome to our preview for the Everton versus Manchester United game in the Premier League on I think it's midnight on Sunday, isn't it? Sometime like that. But yeah, 7 o'clock on Sunday evening, we take on Man United, and this is the fixture where the fight back began last season. Obviously, a lot of water's passed under the bridge since then. Joined today by James from Barlow Blues, and yeah, I'll let you start, mate. What are your thoughts? How are you feeling going into the game? Are you confident? How do you feel?
Yeah, I think I normally feel quite confident against United at Goodison. I was just saying to a lad in work then, like, it feels as if, if we don't win, we give them a good game. Even some games when we've maybe not played particularly well, it's quite rarely a cricket score. I feel like we're always in the game against them, and the kickoff time's absolutely ridiculous. I'd rather it be early in the day, but I think a night game at Goodison against anyone adds to it a bit, doesn't it? So I think especially against kind of one of the old enemies in United, I know a lot of Everton fans have got a lot of ill feeling towards them, and yeah, it's a big game for both teams. I think we're in good form. They were in obviously very bad form, quite good form, and they've tailed off a little bit last couple of weeks. But I think the game on Thursday we're taking a bit out with them, and then obviously the game they had last weekend as well is massive. So I think they're there for the taking on Sunday, and I really hope we perform.
Yeah, I mean, you said a few things there. I definitely agree with as much as you talk about the kickoff time. I think a night match is a big plus for us. We've got a good history of night games at Goodison against Man United. We're taking the fight to them. They're not a team who, even when they were good, they used to struggle coming to Goodison in the night games. There's obviously a lot of famous results there in the last two decades. You'd also said as well a big thing. I think a week ago we would have looked at this very differently. They were obviously in a bit of a form turnaround. They got battered a couple of times earlier in the season, but then turned it around with a good result against Liverpool. And they sort of settled on a formation and a team, and were really starting to click. But they've gone and played Manchester City, took a hiding, and that doesn't necessarily speak to another drop-off in form, because I think Man City are going to give everyone a hiding this year, though they do most years anyway, but even more so now. But then the midweek game in the Europa League against Ammonia from Cyprus, they weren't very good. They conceded 2 goals. They didn't look assured in possession. They had a lot of possession in the game, but they did not look on song, shall we say. So Everton now, after this run of results we've had, we've had 2 back-to-back wins, unbeaten in, I think it's 6 or 7, I think it's 6. I'm confident going into the game, not confident that we'll win the game, like, oh yeah, we'll walk this. You can never say that, especially against a team of players like they've got. But I think there's no reason to be worried and think we're going to get a pasting off them, because we've been in every game this season so far, and we've got some resilience in the team, especially in defence. And the good news is, after Frank Lampard's press conference, it seems that Dominic CalvertLewin is finally back. He's in contention to be in the squad. He's over the injury. There's been pictures of him training. What would you do with Calvert-Lewin? Would you start him? Would you bench him? How would you line up, as a broader question as well? How would you go into the game? Because there's some questions to answer. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't start. I think he's not played since the Palace game, which was a long time ago, and even then he wasn't fully fit, really, was he? He was kind of rushed back, and I just, as much as I'd like him to play, especially against Martinez, football's not quite as black and white as put a big striker on who's good at heading the ball against a little fella like Martinez. It's going to get a score loads of goals rating. So I'd keep him. If he can play on the bench, I'd bring him on the bench, and you just hope, for the first time in what feels like a very long time. I can't remember the last time we won a game by more than one goal. Might have been Leeds in February. I could be wrong, but that's the last one I can think of. Which just says that we've not had a game, even in the League Cup against Fleetwood. I mean, I wasn't worried about the result of that game really, but in terms of we've not had a game where it's like we're relaxed a little bit. You think you could bring on Calvert-Lewin a couple of minutes to go and just give him a bit of a run around. That'd be ideal, obviously, rather than chasing the game and having to bring him on. But yeah, I'd keep him on the bench myself. I think I'd probably go for the same team, except I'd bring Gordon in. I think obviously McNeil obviously got that goal. He got points to prove again whenever he played against Man United, when we had a couple of good games against them for Burnley. And Gray, I thought, was very wasteful last week, so maybe even bring Gordon for Gray. Otherwise, obviously, Patterson's still out. Pickford's was back last week, so I think the team's probably going to be the same as it was last week, other than I'd probably bring Gordon in for Gray, but I don't really mind if it's unchanged, if Gordon comes in for McNeil. I don't really mind too much, to be fair. I think that's the sign of the squad we got at the minute, where you're not really too concerned. So I'd keep CalvertLewin on the bench, and as I said, I'd probably keep the team, sort of 9/10 the same outfield.
Yeah, I mean, I agree on CalvertLewin. I wouldn't be starting him. He's going to be a useful option to bring off the bench, especially give Man United something very different to think about. And they won't have Harry Maguire as much as he gets, lionised by fans throughout the country. He is very strong in the air, if nothing else. So could be a useful weapon to use, CalvertLewin, late in the game. I actually would keep the exact same team from Southampton because I'd like to see Dwight McNeil build on the winning goal. He's going to have a lot more confidence than he's probably had going into that game now that he's opened his account. But I'd also like to see at some point McNeil on the pitch with CalvertLewin, just to give him someone to aim at. His crossing ability has not really had much chance to shine, as if when he's so far, because Neil Maupay's not the biggest striker, and the other forward players aren't really aerial threats either. Gordon and Gray and what have you. And honestly, I don't feel like Gray or Gordon or McNeil, any of them demand selection. So if McNeil scored the winner, which he has, I don't see any reason to pull him out. And I think at the minute I'd go for Gray over Gordon, because Gray makes more things happen than Gordon. Gordon got a couple of goals at the start of the season, but don't think he's been performing particularly well since then. So I would keep McNeil and Gray on the wings with Maupay up front, and then have the options to bring him and CalvertLewin and whoever on. And we might even see at one point the debut of one James Garner. Be very bizarro world Everton if we bring him on and he has some part in a winning goal against Man United, because that feels like the type of thing that's happened to us. If we just sold a player to another team, they bring him on and he's our downfall. So hopefully we can inflict a bit of that. As far as United go, I don't know what to really expect with their lineup. I've seen various media reports saying that Casemiro's going to start for them, which I imagine will be at the expense of McTominay, and that alongside Christian Eriksen. And Christian Eriksen's a fantastic player, but Casemiro's new to the league. He's not the most mobile of players. It could be a mistake to take McTominay out against a very mobile and athletic midfield like Everton have got. Have you seen much of Man United this year? What sort of lineup do you expect them to go with?
Yeah, I watched them on opening day against Brighton, and they were terrible. Didn't watch them against Brentford. Didn't actually catch them last weekend. I can't remember what I was doing, but I wasn't watching the game. I think I was out somewhere. I watched them against Toffee in the Europa League, and they were really poor. Watching against Arsenal, they played quite well. So they have been up and down, I think, as you say. I think with McTominay, I think he's been one of their best players from the bits I've seen. He's looked fine, but then I think you read what my United fans have to say about him, and I think a lot of the ones are really pleased with him and thought he'd be the one to drop out. He's gone to another level a little bit. So if he's not playing, even if it is for Casemiro, as you say, I don't think he started the game yet, or I think he might have started on Thursday actually. Yeah, so I don't think he's starting the Premier League yet, though, has he? So I think against our midfield three, I think you need mobility. And I wouldn't be, I thought maybe someone like Fred might have played on the weekend, and we'll obviously have to wait and see. But I just think against our midfield three, the pressure they put on you and how sort of nimble they are, and the fact there's three of them as well, I kind of feel like Eriksen might be a little bit outnumbered there with Casemiro, as you say. So I think they've been all right. As I say, McTominay, I think, has impressed me. Martial's impressed me when he's played. Rashford's obviously looking a lot stronger. Diego Dallo as well, playing at right back. He's looked excellent so far this season. But it was interesting though, because last night I think they played De Gea, Shaw, Dallo, Varane, Martinez, Casemiro. I Rashford, obviously Ronaldo played. It was mostly the first team. It wasn't like players like Garnacho or obviously James Garner was there. You wouldn't have thought someone like him would have got a game. So it was a strong lineup, and they sort of narrowly beat not even the best team in Nicosia, never mind in Cyprus. So I think we can take a bit of confidence from that, and yeah, they've looked okay, but I think this is where the confidence comes from. I think if Arsenal came to Goodison on Sunday, playing the way they're playing, yeah, I think Everton can give Arsenal a game, and we typically do, but I would be far more nervous playing against someone like them, even though we're not as worrisome an opponent in terms of the history behind them and what have you in terms of our results. But I just think United at the minute look quite average, and I think teams like Everton should be getting at least a point against them, if not all three. But we've not lost a game of football for 50 odd days, so if we can keep that run going, I'd be pleased on Sunday.
Yeah. 50 days. It's a different monarch when we lost the game. For me, with Man United, it's big for me who's in the front three, because we are not going to play a high line. And the front three, for example, they've played in games against Arsenal, against Liverpool, has been a front three that likes to play a back four, an opposition defence which plays high up the pitch. So you get Rashford through the middle. You get Sancho, you get now Anthony. Whereas after watching the game midweek for Man United, Sancho, he gives the ball away and he's jogging back for the goal that they can ultimately concede that comes from his mistake. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Sancho dropped. Cristiano Ronaldo, he was poor in the game. I'd actually, even though he's not been starting for them, I'll be really glad that if he doesn't start, because a low block defence is not a problem for Cristiano Ronaldo. Like that's probably going to suit him at this point in his career. But I imagine it will be Anthony, Rashford, and Anthony Martial. And Martial, he divides opinion amongst Man United fans. I think he's a very good striker, and he is probably the most dangerous player they've got against a defence like ours. He's got good instincts. He's a good goal scorer. He's just injury prone, and he is coming back from an injury. So if we can weather him, I think that's key, because he's the main goal threat for me, providing they don't start Ronaldo, which it doesn't look like they will. But that's basically everything I've got to say on the game. I mean, have we got a score prediction? You seem quite confident we'll be in this match and we'll come away with something. Where you got a score prediction for us?
Yeah, well, I just think, as I say, I will have to check, but I don't think we've won a game by more than a goal since that Leeds game, which again, different monarch obviously as well, but it completely feels like a lifetime ago. So I think I can't see it win by more than a goal, but I do think Everton 1, Man United 0 at Goodison under the lights is typical. I'll just check, and then as well, Anthony Martial has got the best record against Everton than against any other team in his career. 7 goals in 13 games. I knew it was a lot, but I didn't think it was that many. So that is a worry, as you're saying. I do think he is a better player than plenty given credit for. But yeah, I think 1-0 Everton. I'm going all Mark Lawrence at the minute. I don't think I've had us to lose this season, so I'll need to fix that before the season's out. But yeah, I think that's just what it feels like to me. It feels like a scrappy Everton under the lights. Goodison Park absolutely bouncing. Score the goal after an hour, 65, 70 minutes. Sort of Fellaini 2012-13-esque. That's what my heart's telling me. And I think the way we're playing at the minute, I think we've got the ability to do so. I agree as well with that. Even though Ronaldo is a shell of his former self at the minute, I am going to be very pleased he's not on the starting lineup, because he can score in the blink of an eye. He's that kind of player, isn't he? So I think Everton 1, Man United 0 is kind of where my heart's going at the minute. I'm sure that might change the build up to the game, but yeah, 1-0 is what I go for, I think.
Yeah, I've been quite cowardly with my predictions this year. I'm predicting a lot of draws, and to be honest, I was doing all right for a bit if we were getting them, but I'm with you. I'm going to go for a 1-0 Everton. I think the conditions are just right. The night game, they've come off a little bit of a bad run of form. Confidence is high with the team settled and know each other. And you've just said there about the, Marouane Fellaini 1-0 goal, the big start of that season. So that's influenced my goal scorer predictions. Going to be 1-0. I'm a 2-0.
Yeah, and I knew where that was going. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been close, to be fair, as well, hasn't he? He's been getting in there. So, the story, something like that, or like an Idrissa Gueye goal, or James Garner, as you say, I don't care who scores, obviously, but I think that kind of written in the stars goal scorer against Man United, it's a match made in heaven for Everton, isn't it?
Yeah. So, let's hope we're right, and we're back on Monday celebrating a great win under Goodison's lights. Not too many of these Goodison night games left now. You can probably count them on your hands.
Yeah,
but
very sad.
So that is everything. Thanks very much for joining us. Thank you to you, James. Thank you to all of everyone watching. If you like the channel, please click subscribe. And once again, thank you for joining us on the Toffee Blues.